So, there are two Chinese writing systems, traditional and simplified. I can read and write in traditional, but as for simplified, I do not know how. I actually don't want to learn, and I refuse to learn. When I first started to learn how to read and write in Chinese, I started with simplified Chinese because most of the books that I bought, they were all in simplified, and my family, they're from Guangzhou, so they're more familiar with simplified characters. And that time I didn't know there was a difference between simplified and traditional. So about a year after I start learning Chinese, some Taiwanese friends knows I was writing simplified characters, and they told me that I should learn traditional instead. They told me that traditional characters are real Chinese culture and that simplified characters, it's actually ruined Chinese tradition. So I began learning traditional instead of simplified, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more. Yeah, even though traditional was a lot more harder, especially with the strokes and stuff, I enjoy it more. As long as it's real Chinese tradition, I'm okay with it. So now I read and write in traditional. So those who are interested in learning Chinese, I do recommend that you learn traditional instead of simplified. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to learn simplified. Well, if you're planning to go live in mainland China, I do think learning simplified Chinese would be the best. So traditional Chinese, it's used in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. But as for simplified, it's used in mainland China. So since I don't know simplified characters when I go to mainland China, I do struggle with reading. But in Hong Kong, I'm okay. But let me show you the difference between traditional Chinese and simplified Chinese. So I'll start with traditional. This is China, 中国, or Cantonese, 中国. Okay, here's simplified if I can remember. 中 is still the same, but 国 is not the same. So this is simplified Chinese. This is traditional. See a difference? Okay, I'll do one more. I'll start with traditional. This is love. Oi. Okay, here's simplified. Here it is. See a difference? My writing sucks, but this is how love is written in traditional and simplified. So like I said, I recommend that you learn traditional Chinese instead of simplified, because traditional Chinese, it's real Chinese culture. Well, that's why they call it traditional Chinese.